Hello out there, my name is Peter. I'm at home in Salzburg, Austria, right in the heart of Europe. This is where I was born and raised, and I've been working here as a guide for many years. At the moment, we're welcoming you at the so-called Humboldt terrace. We, that is my camera woman Julia, and of course me, myself.
Welcome to Salzburg.
This is our city, with its numerous churches, the magnificent fortress and the foothills of the Alps in the background. This uses more than 1,000 words, doesn't it? The spot where I'm standing now got its name from the famous German scientist and explorer Alexander von Humboldt. He lived in the 1800s and he really got around a lot. Imagine, there's a species of penguins residing in South America which was named after him. He obviously explored a big part of the world, and he did not miss out on visiting Salzburg. At least according to most tour books, he once said that to him the regions of Salzburg, Naples and Constantinople were the most beautiful in the world. We must not forget, though, that he never visited the latter. But I don't mind, as to me, Salzburg, without any doubt, is a real jewel. Let me take you on a short stroll. We'll discover the rich history, visit special places, and meet some nice people. Salzburg is no unknown spot. We're home to Wolfgang, Amadeus, Mozart, and back in the 1960s a very popular movie was shot here. Is it really necessary to pronounce his title? It does mean a lot to many of our guests, doesn't it, Julia?
It really does. I've had guests who had seen The Sound of Music over 160 times. Quite impressive if you consider the over 3 hours length of the movie. For Austrians, that's pretty funny because usually we have not seen The Sound of Music unless we're working in tourism, just like the two of us. For many of our international guests, it really brings back memories, transports them back to their childhood because it was one of the first movies they ever saw.
Salzburg got its name from the salt, which was so precious that they called it the white gold. The salt deposits were used already by the Celts, and they made our city extremely rich. We're starting our walk at St. Peter's, where back in the 600s, on the ruins of a Roman city, the foundation stone of the modern Salzburg was laid. This Benedictine monastery is one of the oldest of Central Europe. Let us visit its cemetery, which is a very peaceful place. It is still used as a burial site. Due to that, it doesn't only seem to be authentic, it really is. My guests are usually very moved by the special aura here. Look at the wrought iron crosses, aren't they wonderful? And the flowers and the cliff.
Might sound a bit strange, but I actually really enjoy coming here in between after tours just for the peaceful atmosphere. You know, stroll around a bit, look at the gorgeous flowers, the beautiful tombs, enjoy the silence and the peace.
Yeah, here you really can enjoy the sound of silence. We can gain peace of mind and break away from the treadmill of everyday life. The spirit of Salzburg can be felt here. It is that wonderful combination of nature and the fine arts which do form a unit in Salzburg. Very inspiring. Look at the arches. Don't they look familiar to you? Yes, they inspired the stage set of the scene when the troops were hiding from the Nazis behind the tombstones. This is another postcard view here, isn't it? This is our landmark, the Fortress of Hohensalzburg. In English it means High Salt Fortress. Thank God we don't have to climb every mountain to get there. The funicular is just a stone's throw away from here. Let's go. In not even 2 minutes, we'll be enjoying the most breathtaking panorama. This fortress is some 900 years old and it was never conquered. In addition, it's the biggest stronghold of Central Europe. From here you can see how compact the historical center is. The modern Salzburg, though, is a medium-sized city with some 150,000 inhabitants. Our home, though, is very green.
Oh, I definitely agree with you on that, Peter. There are few cities with so much nature right in its centre. There are some fabulous hikes just in and around town.
The emerald green river flowing through our town is called Salzach. Like the city, it got its name from the salt which was shipped on it northwards. The Salzach runs into the Inn, and that has its confluence with the Danube in Passau. Passau, by the way, is one of the places where the Viking vessels are docking.
When the weather is fine, you often think you can literally touch the snow-peaked caps of the Alps south of the sea.
Peter, I think you met the snow-capped peaks of the Alps. And here they are.
When you visit Salzburg, ladies and gentlemen, better stay longer than just one day. If the weather is not so good during your visit of the fortress, don't mind. In the Salzburg Museum you can visit the so-called Sattler panorama. It shows the great view from our fortress back in the 1820s. This huge picture was shown in a movable pavilion, which was built especially to house it. It traveled half of Europe and contributed very much to the fame of our city and its surroundings. Right underneath the fortress, the Abbey of Nonnberg is located. To many people, it's the Abbey. You know, it is the one Maria was no asset to. Nonnberg means the nuns' mountain. They have held their position here for more than 1,300 years. It's a place of power and contemplation, right above the hustle and bustle in the city. This is the gate where the kids asked why Maria had left them without saying goodbye to them. Behind it, there is an impressive Romanesque archway to discover. If you like art history, better don't miss the famous frescoes inside the church. It is a lovely walk of some 20 minutes from the city center, one way. Before we're diving further into the history of Salzburg, let's have a short break. In Austria, it does have to be a coffee break. And according to the tradition of the Viennese coffee houses, it will not be coffee to go, but to sit. To many Austrians, the cafes are way more than just a place where they find food and drinks. People go there for reading the newspaper, having conversation, and of course also gossiping. In Vienna, the coffee houses even played an important role in shaping the local culture. I want to use this occasion for introducing you to some of my colleagues. In Salzburg, we got a wonderful team of guides which has been cooperating for many years. We often meet here at the Café Würfelzucker during our lunch break. And we share a big passion for our profession. Being a guide, ladies and gentlemen, is actually way more than just a job. Wouldn't you agree, Julia?
Absolutely. You constantly learn new things and it opens up new horizons. The positive feedback and the wonderful exchange of ideas with our guests are really, really priceless. I love being a guide indeed.
By the way, this is a place specialized in strudels. Don't you remember the cream-colored ponies and the crisp apple strudel? Here you can see what a real strudel looks like. It has to be made of phyllo pastry, and that has to be so thin that one can read the newspaper through it. At this cafe, you find a big variety of strudels. They stuff them with all kinds of fruits and even poppy seed. That's actually my favorite. And the savory strudels are not less delicious than the sweet ones. This is a wonderful one with spinach, served with a sour cream dip with chives. Yeah, the Austrian cuisine does have lots of beautiful dishes beyond the famous schnitzel. It is, though, the favorite dish of many Austrians, but not really with noodles. They just rhyme with the strudels. At a traditional Austrian restaurant, and there are many of them in Salzburg, they would serve that breaded veal escalope with parsley potatoes. And if you order schnitzel, don't forget to ask for the lingonberry jam, if it doesn't come as a garnish automatically. Before we're getting too hungry, let me serve you a bit more for your souls. Let us dive a bit further into Salzburg's history. This area here is downtown Salzburg. In this piazza-like square, we can indulge in the southern flair of our city. Here you really find yourself transferred into Bella Italia. The eye-catching fountain, our Sound of Music fans might have recognized already. Yes, it's the one from the scene I Have Confidence. This wonderful ensemble was created under our former rulers, the so-called Prince Archbishops, until the end of the Holy Roman Empire, which was of course neither holy nor Roman. They were directing the fortunes of Salzburg.
Here we can enjoy the grandeur of Salzburg from a very special perspective.
In the past, this residence was not open to everybody. Only selected people had access in here. The elaborate stucco and the colorful paintings give this house a very festive atmosphere. We're at the former conference hall now. Here the Privy Council of the Prince Archbishops used to gather. This is the portrait of Sigismund von Schrattenbach. He was a very important patron of the Mozart family. Without his support, Wolfgang Amadeus would not have become a star throughout Europe already as a child. It was right here where he gave his very first Salzburg court concert at the age of 7. Later, some of his wonderful compositions could be heard here for the very first time. History is coming alive. Would it surprise us if we met him just around the next corner? Let's follow Mozart's footsteps now.
This is the baptism font where he was given the Christian names Johannes, Chrysostomos, Wolfgangus, Theophilus when he was just 1 day old.
It's located in Salzburg's Cathedral, but an astonishing, spatial experience. This wonderful church is said to be the most Italian house of God outside Italy. I love the white stucco and that abundance of light.
When the organs are playing, you can feel heaven on earth in here.
This church does have 7 organs. 4 of them are located right underneath the dome. This is something unique worldwide. By the way, there is concerts here nearly every day at noon.
In Mozart Square, his monument is located. It was erected some 50 years after Mozart's death. Due to that, it's not really a realistic portrait. I guess if Mozart was standing here with us, he would not believe that this should be him. The real Mozart, ladies and gentlemen, was left-handed, and he was described by contemporaries as short and unattractive. But he was for sure a unique and unmatched genius. The famous physicist Albert Einstein once said about Mozart's music that it was so pure and beautiful that he saw it as a reflection of the inner beauty of the universe itself. How poetic. To me personally, Mozart's music does fit perfectly into the picturesque Salzburg, and due to that, it does give me the feeling of being at home. I know though that he was looking for his inspiration elsewhere. He was ahead of his time, not only with his music, and he simply had to break free. Nowadays he is celebrated as our favorite son, and the Salzburgers are very thankful to him. It's very likely that without him, for instance, Salzburg would not have its world-famous music festivals.
In August, when the summer festival takes place, the city does have the flair of a metropolis. We're standing in front of Mozart's birthplace now. Here he first saw light of the day on the 27th of January in 1756. For Mozart fans, this museum truly is a magic spot. You can learn here a lot also about Mozart's family, his father, whom he owned a lot to, his sons, his wife. How sad that it doesn't say anything about his sister on the marble plaque. She was another star, but already during her career as a child prodigy, she was under her brother's shadow.
Well, yes, unfortunately, women in the 1700s were still mostly destined for becoming wives and mothers. After having travelled extensively with her brother and being a star in her own right, Nannerl was married to an elderly judge with 3 children from his first marriage and took care of his household for 17 years. Only after his death, she returned to Salzburg, where she spent the rest of her life.
If you want to learn more about her, you got already one more reason to visit this wonderful museum. And Mozart's residence can be highly recommended as well. We're at the most famous lane of Salzburg now. Its name is Getreidegasse, and it really is a shopping paradise.
Don't miss walking through the passages. You will discover all kinds of different shops. There's a lot of history hidden behind the facades.
Very soon you'll find out that Christmas is another big thing here. One of the reasons for that is Silent Night, Holy Night, that premiered at a place close to our city on Christmas Eve in 1818. During the Advent time you find the most romantic Christmas markets in and around Salzburg. I nearly forgot to mention the most famous souvenir from our city. It's the Mozart chocolates, a wonderful composition of pistachio marzipan, nougat and dark chocolate. Most of the countless imitations are wrapped into a golden foil. The original ones though are silver. Paul Fürst, the inventor, forgot to patent them, and so you can eat your way from one Mozart chocolate shop to the other. Better find out yourselves which are the tastiest. Another Salzburg highlight I'm presenting to you today are the Mirabelle Gardens. They surround a palace with an extraordinary history. It was built some 400 years ago for a very beautiful woman. Her name was Salome Alt, and she was the girlfriend of Wolf Dietrich. As he was another Roman Catholic Prince Archbishop, this was no easy relation. Due to celibacy, she never got married to him, even though she bore him more than 15 children. It's a real irony of fate that nowadays some 1,500 couples from all over the world get married here. Mirabelle, by the way, means wonderful view.
If you want to pose here for a picture with you and your other half, you better come here in the morning or the late afternoon. Then the light is perfect for capturing another unforgettable moment in Salzburg.
Marble statues, funny gnomes, elaborate vases, symmetrical flower beds, and the steps used for the final sequence of Do Re Mi. You could take countless pictures here. It's getting dark already. Time has really been flying. Julie and me both agree that this nice day needs to be finished off appropriately.
Oh, I could definitely eat now. Let's have a nice meal at the oldest restaurant of Central Europe.
That's a very good idea. And this is the best occasion now for Salzburger Nockerl. It's kind of a must to taste this opulent dessert when you're staying in Salzburg. This fluffy dish is really divine. There's a song which says that it is sweet like love and smooth like a kiss. At least then when it's melting in your mouth, you finally understand what Baroque joie de vivre is. Cheers!
Cheers!
We are really looking forward to welcoming you at our wonderful home.